Boredom is the key to deep thinking. There's a whole meme category called shower thoughts. And it's funny because shower thoughts are probably only really a thing because that's the only moment in our lives that we are forced to not have any technology, like our phones and our computers, constantly entertaining us. We are forced to stand there with our brain and ruminate on random thoughts. This puts your brain in something called the default mode network. When we're not focused on a specific task, our frontal lobe and hippocampus become more active. The frontal lobe is arguably the most important part of your brain that helps distinguish you most from an animal to a human. This mental standby mode often produces our best thinking. Oftentimes this leads to daydreaming. Daydreaming silences our inner critic. It lets our brains make more unexpected associations, which helps us be more creative. The brain isn't made for non-stop work 10 hours a day. It's long been known that our best productivity comes from short bursts of energy, 20 to 40 minutes, coupled with periods of rest. Pauses let the unconscious mind keep processing. It often ends up doing this quicker and leading to better solutions than if you were to try and brute force it. This is how eureka moments and sudden bursts of insights happen. It's often in the shower, in these long car rides, and on walks. See, boredom isn't a bug that we need to fix, but it's actually a feature. Embracing boredom helps you find meaning and purpose. It's more than a lull. When we step away from distractions, our brain's default mode network starts to kick in. Smartphones and endless streams of media stop us from doing this. This is why studies are actually showing that children are becoming less creative now than they were before. But we can still tap into that again as adults. We can spark contemplation and creativity even when we're much older, even when we lost it when we were younger. And this is why philosophers often sang the praises of going on walks and being in solitude. Nietzsche went as far as to say that all of his worthwhile ideas came to him when he was walking. Immanuel Kant used to go on daily strolls through his village. Jean-Jacques Rousseau said that walking helped him steady his emotions and clear his mind for philosophy. The Stoics wrote about the value of solitude and meditative contemplation. None of these people had smartphones or tablets that they could turn to, so their brains were completely at rest. On top of this, there's actually a lot of evidence to suggest that moderate exercise actually improves your IQ and brain plasticity. This literally puts your brain in a more childlike state in the most positive way I can term that. Because as we know, children have very plastic brains. This means that your brain literally becomes better at problem solving and finding novel solutions through walking. But it's not just contemplation and creativity that boredom helps. Boredom actually fosters self-reflection. When we step away from the constant stimulation, we're given a chance to actually process our emotions. Eventually we start to clarify our goals and think about the impetus behind our behaviors. Cultivating these mundane moments helps create mental space for us to think about the larger questions of life. See, the default mode network actually facilitates future planning. And what's the furthest thing out from the future? Well, it's your ultimate fate. When we're bored and disengaged with external stimuli, our mind drifts to past experiences and future possibilities. This is why I believe that being bored makes you less depressed and less sad, or at least inspires you to become less sad and less depressed if you use that mental space appropriately. Those external questions like, what's the point of even living, are very important questions that you have to actually resolve at some point in your life. In a sense, this is what happened to Nagi in Blue Lock. After Rayo gets him to play soccer, he's no longer melting his mind with phone games. He finds soccer kind of boring at first, but when he loses to Isagi, he suddenly gets a purpose. Before that, he literally had no animation in life, nothing to inspire him. But going through something uncomfortable, like losing, made him start to think about what he's actually wanting to do with his life. And after he gets kicked out of Blue Lock, you see that he can't just keep mindlessly playing phone games anymore. He wants to come back to Blue Lock. So much so that he's even camping at the facility for a number of days. And now that he's likely to come back to Blue Lock with Kira, he's given a new reason to play. I genuinely believe that a big reason we're so depressed in society is because we don't actually know what we want to do with our lives. And we never take the time to seriously contemplate those questions because we never give ourselves the time to seriously contemplate those questions. There's actually a very clear correlation between nihilism, or in this case, not knowing why you're living, and depression. And on the other hand, having a clear, set purpose for why you're living is a very good, one of the best deterrents against depression. So get bored. Start thinking about why you're actually here. What's the point of living? What happens after you die? You can't just ignore this question and hope it goes away, because it's gonna gnaw at you. The longer you hold it off, the worse it's gonna get. And the longer you put it off, the more hollow of a human being you're going to be. And obviously being creative and having a high IQ are two of the best predictors of success in life. And yeah, you need a mix of that horizontal creative thinking and that vertical deep thinking to maximize your potential. First you come up with ideas, and then you meditate on the significance of them and the larger questions that arise from them. That's how you become creative, deep, and compelling. So get bored, become an interesting person, start succeeding in life, become more creative. And if you want to know what the meaning of life is, click this video here. And yeah, join my coaching program if you want to get ripped. Alright, peace, bye.